Well, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you very much for coming. Looks like most of us are seated, so that's one less instruction I don't have to provide. Again, thank you all for coming. My name is John Perbanik, and I'm President and CEO of the Diversity Initiative. We want to make sure that you're all back in time this afternoon for work, so we definitely want to get started. So if you can have a seat, be comfortable, and we're going to get started here very shortly. Before we do so, what I would like to do is just take one moment to personally recognize RSA Consulting. So if Edward, and where is Zach? Zach's outside. Edward, you're going to take this. Listen, if we don't know RSA Consulting, they have been instrumental in helping us get to this point. Not only did they help us secure the funding to host this event, but their team rolled up their sleeves and were responsible for inviting many of you here today. So thank you, RSA Consulting. We really appreciate your help. Now, just for some housekeeping, restrooms, that's clearly a very important thing. So that's going to be right outside these doors and right outside those doors and across the hallway from the registration table. So please note that. You're going to find in front of you today's agenda. And on page 3 of that event program is going to be the agenda for this program today. So while you enjoy lunch, which is going to be what's on the table already, we're going to be airing 3 videos. And that's going to be followed by our presenter, Vanessa Rodriguez, Vice President of the Diversity Initiative. Finally, each of you will find a yellow insert card on top of your event program. So if you're interested in discussing how diversity and inclusion can work at your company, please complete the card and either hold it up for one of our volunteers to come and pick up, or please drop it off on your way out. We would happily follow up with you. At this time, it is with great pleasure to introduce Representative-elect Wenge Newton for Florida District 70. Please join me in welcoming our distinguished guest and congratulating him on his win last night. Congratulations.
Let the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in thy sight, my strength, O Lord, my Redeemer. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Okay, I thought I was the only one up all night. I want to first do the blessing and the invocation. Well, Heavenly Father, let's thank you for this event. Let it be educational to the people that attend it so they can get involved and provide opportunities for everyone in our community. We also want to turn our attention to the men and women we have been serving abroad. May you watch over them and keep them. And also, with all the things that are happening in this country and in this world, just keep your arms wrapped around us and pray for us that we can move forward together. When it comes down to this meal we're about to receive, may you bless it for the nourishment for our minds, body, and soul. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Okay. Make sure I got my space right. I did that. I did this. Okay. We're going to view a video now. My thinking is thank you from Governor Scott. Welcome. Excuse me. From Governor Scott. Is that the first one? Whoops. Okay.
I am honored to welcome so many advocates from all over the state to the Diversity Initiative's Lunch and Learn event. You are very strong voices in the community for individuals with unique abilities in Florida. Thank you for all you do. We want all Floridians to have the opportunity to live independent, healthy lives. A job is the #1 way to change a person's life, and individuals with unique abilities deserve every opportunity to succeed. By leading the charge to create these important opportunities in your workplace, you will change lives. I look forward to working with you to make Florida the best place for individuals to live their dreams. Thank you.
persons with disabilities represent the largest and most versatile talent pool in our economy. The range of abilities, talents, skills, experience, and education that reside within this group is as or more diverse than you would see with other talent pools.
We spend a great deal of time getting to know the candidates that we work with so that we can really understand what skills, talents, and abilities they can contribute to the workforce. For many small businesses, we become an extension of their HR team. We have already worked with that individual to know that they're motivated and reliable and can meet the needs of the business. So because we've invested the time in getting to know the candidate as well as the organization and their needs, when we refer a candidate to a business, there's a 90% chance that that person's going to work out, not just 50-50 like traditional hiring methods.
And Vanessa helped me get this job, and it's been really a lot of fun helping. You know, they gave me an opportunity to work at City Clerk's office, and it's been a lot of fun. I've been doing a lot of work.
She's been with our office since September of 2008. She's very good. She comes in on time. Once you explain to her what she needs to do, and you show her what to do, she does it.
Well, I work with Patty. She's that herself, and she understands that their culture and the needs of their people. So she's helped me find jobs that fit what I need, my skills. And she also educates them about the job culture, and that's very important. I feel proud that I'm able to provide for my family, and I'm happy that I was able to overcome a lot of obstacles. If you hire a person with a disability, know that they will work very hard, and also if they're able to do whatever you give them.
Anjali is a true asset. She came to us from the minute I did her phone interview. She was so warm, and it's very helpful to have someone like Anjali answering the phones. She also has a great work ethic and is completely compassionate to our population. TDI has been very supportive of our staffing needs. They give us good quality candidates. They also provide support after the employee gets hired. They offer job coaching. They will pull in every resource they have in order to support that employee.
There are many benefits to diversity and inclusivity in the workplace, more than just employee morale. There are significant increases that businesses who have done this successfully, like WellCare, have seen from including individuals with disabilities in their workplace, such as increased productivity, decreased costs of turnover, ability to execute plans more effectively because of the diverse perspectives in the room. And those are the many benefits that we want all employers to know about.
TDI provided us an introduction to Anthony, and he's been an incredible employee to us, so we loved working with him. He handles all the management of the warehouse. He does all the pick, pack, and ship. He handles many different parts of the operation for us. With TDI, they've been fantastic. They've not only kept in touch with us to make sure we're happy, but also have coached Anthony to make sure that he's doing the work that he needs to do and that he's successful at his job. If we did ever need another employee, I would definitely use TDI again.
They actually care about you and they think you're worth something. Sometimes that's what we all need. We all need to feel like we're worth something and we have value in life. It gives you purpose.
Yeah, TDI, they helped me get the job, which I'm grateful. I'm telling you, it's still full-time, still 5 days a week, and everything's great.
We've had a lot of struggle actually finding the right person for the position that Anthony's in. We had a lot of turnover. We had great people that came in with a lot of warehouse experience, but they slowly but surely didn't show up for work, or there was a lot of turnover. We went through several employees, and Anthony's been amazing. If I could pick the perfect person for the position, I wouldn't have guessed it would have been him, but it was. He's been incredible. He shows up. He's diligent. His work ethic is unbelievable, but not only that, his particular attention to detail is incredible. You can't take him off task, and he works fast and solid and very good quality, and we just love working with him.
I love my job, and thank you, TDI.
TDI can provide really good quality employees as far as also interaction with them. They're trained, they're interested in being in the position, they'll find the right type of person for the right employer and the right position. They're going to align that, as well as finding someone who's really interested and enthusiastic about their work. No fees. That's the best part. I mean, to get a great employee like that and also have it for free, it's a no-brainer.
Our agency has invested in becoming a resource to the business community through our no-fee consultation and recruitment services. TDI spends a great deal of time promoting our services to the business community and educating employers about the versatility and value of this diverse talent pool.
Thank you for the invitation, and let me tell you what I'm going to be speaking about. Employers are generally looking for good employees, and they're looking for good employees on a consistent basis. And as employers in this room, that'll be something you probably want to try to address. But you also probably want to try to address the issue of diversity. Diversity is a fact of life now inside employment inside North America. And how do we make diversity actually work and be more effective for you? What I want to tell you is some of the information that we've gathered over the last numbers of years around our conversations with employers and service providers around things that can make diversity a greater success. Now, my company is based in Canada. It's based in 3 countries. Canada, it's based in Brazil, and it's also based here in the United States. And in those 3 different locations, we have about 35 years worth of experience of talking to employers and talking to service providers. And they have been giving us, the hiring managers, have been giving us tons of information around how to make these things actually work. And what I'd like to do is synopsize and present that information to you as an option that you can use when you're trying to put diversity programs in place in your organizations or your companies. I have divided the information that we have received into 2 sections, what we call foundational needs that we hear from employers, things that they tell us, and what we call situational needs that we hear from employers that they also tell us. And let me just explain what these 2 things are. Foundational needs, after you talk to people for a number of years, you keep hearing the same theme over and over again about what makes hiring somebody with a disability a success for an employer and what makes diversity a success for a company or an organization. And those same themes that we hear time and time again are what we call our foundational needs. And I'm going to spend some time talking about them because I think if you understand that we know those needs and we understand them, then the engagement that you can have with a service provider is much more profound and much more effective. We also have what we call situational needs. When you talk to individual companies at an individual moment in time, and I'll give you a funny little example that when I was in the field, we had a lumberyard company call us, and they were looking for somebody to work in the yard cutting material, driving a truck. And when they told us on the telephone what they were looking for, my staff said to me, "We don't have anybody that can do that." And I said, "Listen, just go out and see them. When you go out and see them, ask them what they want." And they went out to see them, and we'd heard this long list: driver's license, true commitment, can measure, all these long lists for this lumberyard person. And when they went out to see them, the manager said, "You have somebody who can start tomorrow?" It was a situational need. There was something very specific that they had to address right now, and even though they were putting a lot onto the table, there was something else going on here. And so we recognized there was a whole different set of needs that we could respond to, that we could help employers address if we began to look at the situation a little bit differently. And those situational needs, I'm going to leave up to Vanessa when she comes up to give you an explanation of that. So the universal ones, the foundational needs, I'm going to begin to talk about. And at some point, if you have any interest in talking more about this, you're going to have TDI, and I will still be here if you want to see how these might apply to your own organizations. All right, I've just listed the 4 main needs that we address, that we see over and over again, that can add some value both to employers to say, yes, please say this to when you're looking for somebody so that they will understand what you want and you will feel comfortable getting into that relationship. The first one is employers continually say to us, make sure you listen to us. I cannot tell you the number of times I've talked to employers who have said, I would really like to be involved, but the challenge is they don't hear me. They don't understand what I am saying and what I need. And therefore, because they don't hear me, it's very hard to get into this relationship alone when I don't really understand it, and I don't know what to do, and therefore I really do need them to listen to us. And if you believe this, and this is such a fundamental idea for us, if you believe in listening to the employer, if you believe in understanding what they are saying and the circumstances they are facing, you are truly believing in making sure it's the ability to do the job that is the focus of the decision and not the disability. When you truly listen to an employer, when the employer truly can tell you that themselves, they themselves will begin to disregard the disability. Because what are they focusing on? And as an employer, you will know this. You are focusing on, can this person do this job? That's all we have to focus on. But if we begin to focus on things like, my favorite line is from employers, do not sell me the disability. I am not interested in buying the disability. It's irrelevant. Sell me the candidate. Tell me what that candidate can actually do for me, can do for my company. I believe in the cause. Well, I don't give a about the cause, but I do give about the person I'm hiring. I don't care about them. I care only that they can do the job, which is a blessing to all of us over the age of 45. Because if you have to start looking for another job, you better hope they don't give a tinker's damn about the color of your hair. So this is something that's very important in our industry. Get them to stop looking at the disability by getting ourselves to listen. We want to hear what the employer actually has to say. The second thing that we have is make us more confident in the hire. Employers, when they talk to us, say, listen, we don't really care about the disability. What we care about is how it fits in the company. What we care about is how we make it actually work. And we're not confident that we can actually do that. We don't have the experience, we don't have your expertise, so make us feel confident. Help us get beyond the resume. Help us understand this person at a deeper level. I'm going to give you my funny example when I was dealing with some HR directors in Missouri. And at that time, we were asking them to hire people with who were visual impairment, who were blind, and mostly people who were blind. And the HR manager came up to me and said, Alan, you know, we would love to hire these people, except we don't know how they culturally fit in. We don't know how to answer the questions that our colleagues will ask us, or our employees will ask us about people who are blind. And I said, well, what's the question? And they said, well, let's say they go out for lunch, and they come back, and it's a man, and he has mustard on his tie. What should I say to him? And I said, you've got mustard on your tie. The ordinariness of the relationship, because it is new, is difficult for employers to embrace. And because of that, we need to give them that kind of support, to be able to have them believe that they can be confident that the decision they're making is about the skills of the candidate and what that candidate can actually do for them. I'm sorry, the screen is so small I can't read it. Can I take off my glasses and look at the screen? Thank you. All right. Thank you. That's why I want them looking at the ability, not the disability. All right, the other thing is that, and I forgot what I looked at. The other thing is, how do I pull out the assets of the candidate? One of the things that's hard is that when you don't really have that traditional view of the person, where am I on my time? I got 1 minute left, or I got to do that one really quickly. All right, when you don't really have that traditional view of the person, it's hard to know how to get involved with them. So help us pull out those assets of the individual, and look out for our interests. Employers want us to say, when you've got something great, tell us about it. Look out for us. Help us solve problems ahead of time. Help us know, or help us plan how we can use this in other ways to take us new places. The most common example I get after employers hire from us is to say this: when you've got another great person, tell me. That's going to help me. I don't want you just to wait till I get another job opening. I want you to come and tell me. Why? Because it makes my life easier. It's the idea of listening to that particular employer. And then finally, and then I'm going to stop on this and give it over to Vanessa Rodriguez over there, who's got a better voice than I do. work ethic. For some reason, work ethic is sifting away like sand. It's funny. I'll give you my final example. I worked with another lumber company, HR director, and I said, what is your primary problem here? And she said, I can't get anybody to work overtime. Right, they play double time and overtime. And I said, what? Can't get anybody to work overtime? She said, no. She said, no, it's just part of how people think now. Their job is 9 to 5. I can't get a bigger commitment than 9 to 5. And I think back to when I was a kid. What did your dad tell you when you were going out to work? Work your ass off, right? Take all the overtime you can get. Why? Because then you can buy a car and you're not using the family car anymore. So the mentality that they're dealing with, they're wrestling with some new ideas. Where they're coming from, I don't know. But it's an advantage if we can hear that and we can provide new types of solutions to those employers. With that, thank you. I'm going to introduce you to Vanessa Rodriguez, who is the Vice President of TDI, and who looks much better than I do.
Okay, we want to now that was a video by Alan Anderson. We had a technical difficulty and I couldn't set it up. That's why I was just standing here. But now we're going to have my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, Veronica Rodriguez. She's the Vice President of the Diversity Initiative, who has been with the agency ever since John Burbank founded it in 2008. So I present to you now Ms. Vanessa Rodriguez.
Bear with me while I adjust this because I am fun-sized, as I like to say, so everyone that's gone before me has been tall. So thank you, everybody, and thank you for the introduction, Representative-elect Wengay Newton. Congratulations again on your victory last night. And I'm glad everybody is here and able to join us today. The lights were dim. We've been eating lunch, so that I don't have to ask everybody to get up and do some jumping jacks, is everybody with me? Yeah. All right. I like that answer. Can everyone hear me okay? I'm still kind of wrestling with the mic. All right. Perfect. So, as Wengay said, I am Vanessa Rodriguez. I am the Vice President of the Diversity Initiative, also known as TDI. Our mission is to promote diversity and inclusion in the workforce by connecting the job seekers with disabilities that we have prepared for employment to businesses and organizations in the community that have a unique or a need for or could benefit from those unique skills, talents, and abilities of our job seekers. So the videos that you have been seeing as you've been enjoying your lunch have talked about some of the benefits to diversity and inclusion in the workplace. Now, whether you're a small business like Brahmin Group, which was highlighted in the video, or a large national corporation like WellCare Health Plans, hiring individuals with disabilities may bring value to your business as well. After my presentation today, we'll have the privilege of hearing from 3 local executives of companies here in the area that have implemented diversity and inclusion programs and initiatives in their companies, who would also like to share their successes with each of you. So in the last video that we watched from Mr. Alan Anderson, he talked about foundational and situational needs. So let us tell you how we at TDI address both of those things. I'd like to share with you how we as an organization do business. There's essentially 4 steps. As you may have heard in the introductory video, all of our services are provided on a no-fee basis. So these 4 steps highlight how we might work with your organization or business. Step 1 is understanding those situational needs that Alan was referring to in his presentation. What is it that needs to be done in this moment in time, and how can we assist you with that? Step 2 is task analysis and fit. Step 3 is matching. And step 4 is partnership. Our first step is really just to understand the situational needs for your business. As Alan said, there are universal needs, those foundational needs that are common to most, if not all, employers. So oftentimes when I'm going out in the field and I'm meeting with a business, I hear, I need a motivated, reliable, dependable candidate. Well, that's true for most businesses. I hire too, and I look for that as well. Same thing with the work ethic that Alan was talking about in his video. I just need someone with the work ethic that can get out here and get the job done without me having to check on every single step that they're doing. And that's universal, I think, for most businesses. But we also need to understand what your situational and unique needs are that are pertinent to your business and how your business culture. So we do this through actively listening to you in a face-to-face conversation at your place of business, where we ask insightful questions that help us get to the crux of what your needs are, what tasks need to be done, and help us to understand your business better. We also help you by focusing on any corporate goals that you may have, like diversity and inclusion. In step 2, we're going to further our understanding of situational needs by looking at tasks, analysis, and fit. So all that means is that we focus on the tasks that you need done at this moment in time. What are the important tasks? What needs to be done given the circumstances at this particular moment? And as Alan highlighted with the lumber yard, I think we've all been in those positions when we have time to make a hiring decision that we look for certain things, preferences that we may have, driver's licenses, master's degrees. But some of those things, and given some situations, might not be essential to doing the important functions, those core functions that need to be taken care of tomorrow. So we understand that certain situations, there's just important tasks that need to be taken care of. And so what we would do is help you identify what those important tasks are. And then we understand that tasks are done within an environment, within a business culture. So we also take a look at what does somebody need to be doing or have quality-wise to be successful in the business culture for now and also for the future. So how does somebody need to fit in order to do the job? And we can help you come up with solutions that you may not have been able to come up with before. So now that we know you and we know the job, the next step is matching. So we know who we are going to recommend because we have that in-depth knowledge of our job seekers, which Alan referred to as helping you look beyond the resume. So each of the individuals that we work with have spent at least 6 weeks in our programs where we have been identifying what contributions they can make to the workforce and what they have to offer your business. And so when we do make a recommendation, that is based on 3 different things, which you see on your screen. Understanding your job well, so the tasks and the environment in which that job needs to be done. Understanding our candidate well. And then thirdly, just the confidence that the recommendation is one that we believe will work. So once those criteria have been met and we have made a recommendation to your organization, it's up to you to keep the process going along. If you agree, then we can move forward with the hiring process. But you have to agree because if you don't, it's still an employer-employee relationship. You have the final say in that hire. Finally, our ultimate goal is to create long-term relationships with each of the businesses and organizations that we work with, where you continually hire from us, and we continue to provide you with great candidates and services like the ongoing support that you heard about in the video to both the business and the candidates. So because we, at this point, know you, we spent time at your place of business understanding your needs, we understand you, it puts us in a position to offer you solutions that meet your particular unique workplace needs. Our value-added commitment to our business partners is that you will achieve more with us than without us. So I'm getting the 1 minute coming up here, guys, so I'm going to try to keep us on schedule here. In addition to some of the benefits of diversity and inclusion in general that were outlined before, some of the other ways we've been able to add value to organizations that we have worked with is giving them access to resources you wouldn't normally have access to on your own. Also, giving a fast response to hiring needs to expedite that hiring process. Answers to your disability-related questions, like Alan pointed out, the mustard on the tie, how do you deal with that? Well, we can help you with all of that, in addition to more choice of candidates and first choice of candidates, and also those unique solutions for those problems that just won't go away, or maybe those tasks that needed a fresh approach to get done. So if you haven't figured it out yet, we'd really like to do business with you. So if you have a need, whether that's immediate or upcoming, if you have an interest, or finally, if you just think of opportunities where our services can help take your organization to the next level, we would invite you to fill out the yellow cards in your program today. And when you're finished, you can feel free to hold them up. We'll have volunteers walking around, because we would really like to connect with you and talk more about that. So outside of the ballroom today, you can find John and I at the conclusion of the program, and we would be happy to answer any questions that you may have. But really looking forward to seeing the cards that we collect today and getting to know you a little bit more personally after today's program. So that's going to conclude my presentation. At this time, I would like to welcome and invite our panel of featured speakers. And you'll see them on the screen, and I'll give their introductions as they walk up. With us here today is Amy Reddig, who is Senior Vice President of Public Affairs with Nielsen. We also have Michael Brewster, Vice President of Operations for Monin Incorporated. And last but not least, Pam Lyons-Taylor, Vice President of Advocacy and Community-Based Programs at WellCare Health Plans. So welcome everybody, thank you. And thank you for joining us today to just share what some of your successes and experiences have been in incorporating individuals with disabilities in your own workforces. Before we move on to some of the questions that we received from our attendees today, let's just take a moment for each of us to maybe share an experience or the impact that hiring workers with disabilities has had on each of your organizations, if you could. Anybody?
I'll go first. Thank you for having me. I'm honored to be here. The company I work for, Monin, we bottle syrups, purees, concentrated flavors, sauces. It's nice. It's a great business, but really the work that all of you do is the amazing work in our community. When I've given 3 to 5 minutes, knowing me, there's no way I can say anything in 3 to 5 minutes. Especially when it comes to the two special the individuals that have unique abilities that work for us. Andrew White works in an area called our pump rebuilding room. Before Andrew came to us, our method of pump rebuilding was, oh no, we need pumps, and we would scramble to do it. Sometimes we would shut down lines, sometimes we would incur extra costs due to temps, but when Andrew came to us, he had the perfect ability to do what we needed him to do. He would actually take apart a pump, put in a different size spacer, reassemble the pump, and he would be and all the time following good manufacturing practices perfectly. And some of the benefits that we saw from that was improved inventory, increased productivity, and increased morale. Where did the increased morale come from? We didn't know we had employees that had family members or friends that had individuals that also had special abilities. And we found that we had employees that would take active involvement in Andrew's work, but also in his development. The other individual that came to us, Jacob, was higher functioning autistic. He was able to work in the manufacturing plant where there's conveyors running, there's motors turning, there's machines cycling, and as time has gone on, we've found many, many more jobs to do him. He's just one of our regular employees doing a job of tasks that we need. So we've seen a lot of benefits from this experience, and I'll share more when we get to the questions. So again, it's great to be here. Thank you for having me.
Great. Hi. We doing okay? Can you hear me? Awesome. I'm so excited to be here. There's a number of different ways, and like my colleague said, 3 to 5 minutes is not going to be able to contain the message that I want to share, but I'll do my best. I work for a healthcare company, an insurance company, that focuses primarily on providing insurance to individuals who are in low-income circumstances or have a disability themselves or are a part of a family that has a person with a disability. And I need to connect with those folks. So the way that we went about doing it, and this is where the situational analysis came in that was described earlier, is we said, these folks have special needs. I need to connect with them, not because of their circumstances or their disability, but because of the life that they lead, and so I want to be able to help them. We created a call center to do that, and we connect them to social services that helps them access programs that helps them pay their rent, get utility assistance, find healthy food options, because by doing that, I remove those barriers that are social so I can get them to the care that they need. Now, the best way to do that is not from somebody sitting in an ivory tower telling them how to get there and why it's important. It's to hire folks who understand that. I myself am a graduate of the Ticket to Work program. I'm sitting in front of you in a wonderful job, in an amazing company, because someone had faith in me. And so I created a team that could do the same thing and help thousands of individuals across the United States get to the services that they need, both health and social. We have a team of 32 individuals that represent the most diverse group in my company. Individuals with disabilities, family members and caregivers of individuals with disabilities, military veterans, seniors, students. We are the most diverse, and we are the most efficient. We have another call center that we're required to have, and we do a great job, and we hit certain metrics. But they've even come to us and said, how are you doing what you're doing? With a team of 32 people, how are you handling 560 calls an hour? How are you connecting thousands of people to social services hour by hour and making sure that they get that care? They're asking us, how are we doing that using video relay? How are we doing that with individuals who have speech impediments and hearing impediments? And how are you doing it at such an economical basis? So it's exciting, it's amazing, it's wonderful. And the environment that we created isn't about a person's disability, but it's about what makes the most sense to be able to connect to the consumers, or connect to the people that you need to connect with. So that's why I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Awesome.
Well, that's phenomenal to follow. I think that's why I'm here, to learn from experts like the two folks that are right beside me and from all of you. I have the luxury of working for A, great company, and B, within the community that I live in. My job within public affairs is now really a community engagement job. And we work for, and I work specifically for, our Chief Diversity Officer, for our diversity and inclusion group. It's a newer role for me, and that's why I can learn from all the expertise of the people within this room, especially to go back and work within my own company, within our human resources group and our hiring and staffing and talent acquisition group, to make sure that we're doing some things that we might be moving where we think we need to go in the right direction, which is starting on the ground floor. Even I say we're on the ground floor in this particular area of hiring persons with disabilities. We're probably not where we need to be and want to be and aspire to be. So for us, it's about diversity of thought and certainly the creativity and innovation that employees can bring to our Global Technology and Innovation Center. So I work for a research company, but we do a lot more than that. And we happen to work, Diane and I, who's here with me, one of my colleagues and friends, and she leads our ADEPT group at Nielsen, one of our 7, soon to be 8 employee resource groups that we have within our company. And the ADEPT group, and specifically the leadership of the ADEPT group, has brought it to our attention that we need to do a better job. And I think, again, that's why I'm here today, to be able to talk about what we do probably pretty good now, but we need to do better. And if we, and I even wrote some things down, are able to hire persons with disabilities, persons of color, persons, millennials, certainly we have our new employee resource group for what we think is that next, working with people of different generations, right? So it's all important. And for us to be an inclusive environment, we need to hire those that can really add to our environment. So that's what we hope to do. We have 2,300 employees in our building, 3,000 people employed within West Central Florida, and we hope to employ more persons with disabilities. Those that have been employed thus far have done an amazing job. And what has that done? It's allowed us to train our managers and hopefully all of our employees to know what the benefits are of hiring a diverse and inclusive workforce. So I'll start with that, and then we'll get to some specifics that we've adopted here within Nielsen just within the last few years. I'm very happy that Nielsen has now been named within the top 50 companies within diversity and inclusion. So right now we're number 41, but our goal is to get within a much higher range, and this is where we're starting. So glad to be here. Thanks.
So thank you to all of our speakers for sharing those initial experiences with us. We're going to dive into some of the questions that some of our attendees wrote out for us at the beginning of the presentation. We'll try to get through as many as we can with the time permitted so that everybody can get back to work on time and not get in trouble from your bosses if they're not here with you. Otherwise, you have a pass. No. Okay, so a lot of your responses touched on the first question of how have hiring persons with disabilities impacted productivity in your workplace. Are there any additional thoughts or things that any of you would like to add to that?
I'm sorry, yeah. People who know me.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know if I want to give my
Don't ask him that. In all seriousness, though, I did mention a couple things about productivity. I do want to emphasize them slightly here because we did have a job that nobody wanted to do, and that job is now with somebody who loves doing the job, and because he loves doing the job and he's there on time and he follows a job aid that was created for him. It's something that we shy away from as manufacturers or business people. We often shy away from admitting that it's really dropped to our bottom line. So we've hired someone that we've given an opportunity to. They're proud of their job, but it's affecting the bottom line every day they're working there. People who also know me, do I always walk around with a prop? But and yes, I guess I do. But I brought this to show one of the gentlemen. The second one that we hired was and his first job was quality assurance inspector. And he's watching the bottles go by at 120, 130 bottles a minute, and he's looking for label placement. He's looking for, obviously, confirming they're all there. He's turning the bottles, looking at the code date. And he's so focused on the job that in addition to affecting productivity, we feel much better about the quality of the product that's going down that line. So yes, there was a productivity improvement, but there's also a quality improvement. And if you think about it long term, if quality is improved, quality is protected, it actually could have a bigger effect, and that is the safety and security of our business. So
excellent, thank you.
I'll jump in quickly with two things. We, as mentioned, do research. We not only measure what people watch and listen to, we consumers within the media, but we also measure what people purchase. Consumer behavior is very important to our company, and certainly with what our goals are at Nielsen. So productivity, I think the most recent release of the report, and I want to make sure I have this right, Diane and I were just sharing notes earlier. We recently released a report called Reaching Prevalent Diverse Consumers with Disabilities, and it talks about consumer spend, that the average trip to the store with a person with disabilities might be $1 higher, or when it averages out over a year, it might be close to $250 to $300 more that a person with disabilities spends. So we're not necessarily talking about our job, but what advertisers do, and we have some advertisers here in the audience. Specifically, when you're looking at how you run your business, not only is it important to make sure that you include persons of a diverse background, and certainly persons with disabilities fit in that. That's part of our report as well. Very diverse consumers there. So productivity in that we know that that advertising dollars are being spent specific to persons with a diverse background, and specifically persons with disabilities. So we're kind of molding our business around this a little bit, and knowing that it's important for us to be inclusive as well in our hiring practices. And second, we started a new program. Instead of just an emerging leaders program at Nielsen, we have an emerging talent program, which would include specifically young individuals, because they are right out of college or technical school, but mostly college graduates that might potentially have be on the spectrum of autism. And that has been really wonderful for us to see those individuals go into a technical role where their skills within math and science have been, we've been able to shine a light on those individuals specifically, and what an asset they've been to our emerging technologist program, so, and emerging talent. So for us, those are two ways that I think that it's increased our productivity. It's certainly hit our bottom line, and it's been tied to our business, but more importantly been inclusive in our hiring practices. But we've got a ways to go, so we're excited to continue to move forward.
Thank you, Amy.
Just to add one thought, what you've heard from my colleagues is extraordinary, and I think the premise of what they're doing, the foundation of what they're doing, is listening. They're hearing from the individuals, and forgive me for speaking for you, and I hope I heard correctly, but they heard from the individuals that they hired. They've listened to them, they've watched them, and they said, how can we do this better by observing and listening and watching and then moving forward? In order to create efficiency, irrespective of the people that you hire, listen. And then, when you bring in a diverse group, you're going to bring in a new voice that brings in a new perspective. And be open to what they're saying, because it will create something amazing if you let it.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. So our next question is, what type, if any, special training did you or your employees have to participate in to make hiring persons with disabilities work for your different organizations?
I'll just be very quick. We have two wonderful classes. One I'm in this week called Situational Leadership. Some of you have heard of it. It reminded me when Mr. Anderson was talking about situations in the discussion that he had with us briefly. But situational leadership is important for our managers. And Diane and I know that our managers still can continue to grow and be able to be aware of the hiring that needs to be done and could be done, as long as we're aware of the possibilities, right? The potential. And I think situational leadership and that kind of training, not only diversity and inclusion training, but situational leadership training for our managers, are going to move us again in that direction that I've been mentioning, and that we're moving in.
Agreed.
I was going to let you go next. I would just add to it that we didn't need special training. We needed a great partner, and we needed a partner that knew the abilities of the individuals and knew our business, and then we could then build it after that. Steve's sitting over there. Steve Brown from Placement Works here. Mm-hmm. He was our great partner and is our great partner. And he's helped not only the individuals develop, but my staff develop at the same time. So the training is ongoing, but it wasn't called out as special before, but it's certainly been special for the year we've been doing it.
Great. It's a great point to point out as well, just that supports are available to everybody, and we would love to talk to you about what those are. So again, just a reminder about the yellow cards that you guys have as an opportunity for us to be able to connect with you after the event. How are we looking on time? Okay. Let's take a look at What would you say are the top 3 benefits to your organization regarding hiring candidates with disabilities?
I'll quickly go here because I wrote it down. Top 3, there's more than that. But I certainly say that our creativity has increased tremendously. One of the favorite things that I have within my job, and I love my job in that I get to work with, again, people and individuals within the community, both externally and internally. And what I found is last year we hosted 950 students at Nielsen. This year we're on track to host somewhere between 1,300 and 1,500 students that will come on site. And we specifically worked on a program with St. Pete College with a kind of a success program for their students with autism. And what's kind of fun is that Diane brings her own sons into Nielsen, specifically her son Jacob. And when you mentioned Jacob, we both smiled because Jacob has autism as well. And the benefits there are being, again, innovation within our technology arenas, and of course bringing new thought leaders to our roles. To be able to display that creativity and innovation has been the top 3 for us. And certainly these individuals were hired because they can fill and obviously fulfill the job requirements that are there. So why not be considering persons with disabilities for roles that make all the most sense?
Inventory accuracy and productivity are 2, and I'll mention one other one that I think sometimes we can forget, and that is we're a manufacturing plant. There's people just doing manufacturing jobs, and there's only so much satisfaction you can get out of that job. But there are employees who now have taken an interest in working with the individuals that have additional satisfaction they're getting from their job. So when they think about their job as, yes, they watch bottles go by or they run machines that make bottles, but they're also helping individuals. So there's a satisfaction piece that comes out of it that it's hard to measure, but it's certainly there.
Thank you. So in addition to what my colleagues have said, I'm going to say there's internal and external benefits. Internal, it's morale and satisfaction for the employees that you do hire. It's also in a competitive employment environment where it's harder and harder to find truly the best fit person for the job, you need to entice people to come in. And when you have unique programs, it brings people in who want to work for you, which then leads to increased productivity. Externally, there are public relations benefits when your associates are happy. They become your ambassadors. And there is nothing stronger than an associate unabashedly saying, I love my employer and here are the thousands of reasons why.
Well, thank you so much. So we're good for another one? Okay, fantastic. All right. So this one says, I don't have a lot of experience working with individuals with disabilities. Is there anything special that I must do to prepare for when I do hire a job seeker with a disability?
You want to go first? Go first?
It would be Pollyanna of me to say, no, it's just like hiring anybody else. It's not. Not only are there legal considerations, and I'm not a lawyer, I'm not going to speak to that, but there were a lot of things we had to really consider. Did the environment work? Did we have the accommodations we needed? Did we do everything that we need? Do we have a culture that is inclusive? Does the desk to the physical environment to the bathrooms, do they all work for individuals that have unique mobility, communication, or other needs? But then there are the social factors. I said culture, but there are the social factors. How you treat somebody that's different from you comes from inside. And that takes work. The collective body of people who come together in a work environment that are diverse requires some work. And making sure that your environment, your culture is inclusive of that. And I believe it was you that was saying, and I'm sorry, I was looking the other direction, saying that the work that you do to be inclusive comes from the top to the bottom and all the way in between. And that's important work to do. But don't be afraid of it, because from diversity comes innovation, comes efficiency, comes some pretty amazing things. So don't be afraid of that.
Thank you, Pam.
I have two. They're a little different way I look at the question because of probably the nature of the business, but we're rapidly growing, and all of my peers, whether they be the head of innovation, the head of sales and marketing, or whatever department it is, they all have work lists that exceed the amount of resources they have available to them. And I think you have to, if you're considering this, you go into your business and you create those work lists, or you revisit them and you say, what jobs here that we're not getting to, that we really like to get to, that if we had somebody who could focus on them, we could get to them. So I think really building your work list before it, when we met, and I keep using the example I'm living, but we had lists to draw from, and at first we didn't have the individual fit and the job yet, but then 3 months later a light bulb went off and said, oh, if we had a person who could do this, that's a perfect job for someone. So I think you got to have them, you got to visit them, you got to know them. And then I would say the other one is you have to find your champions within your business that are going to support the program. It's important to me, but I have other managers in the business that it's as important or more important to them for this to be successful. Two my production managers, Amy and Brian, one of them manages one individual and the other one manages the other one, and it's their first priority, that's their first thing that comes to mind versus anything else they do. So you have to know who those champions are, and they will help you make that opportunity successful.
Thanks, Mike.
And quickly, I would say that two things come to my mind from a personal end, and I would say exposure and flexibility. I started at Nielsen 22 years ago, but 14 years ago I was lucky enough to have my daughter, and I wanted to go part-time. And I was able to continue to work and sometimes work from home, right? And so that was fantastic. But 14 years ago, I also needed a caretaker when I was going to work. And I had a wonderful woman who wanted to watch my daughter, who had a son with Down syndrome. I was very concerned putting my daughter in this environment with this young man with Down syndrome, and I could never have been more happy with the decision that I made at an early age, 3 months old, to have my daughter grow up, so to speak, in that home with the most inclusive environment, with other young children that were around this young man. I could cry right now telling you how now I couldn't be more proud that my daughter, who wants to be a civil rights lawyer, is very concerned at the age of 14 about an inclusive environment and one that is embracing of all individuals. And so for me, that flexibility and that exposure turned my life around in a great way. And so I hope that just stating that means that in the job I'm at, we will always continue to be inclusive and making sure that we offer options and opportunities for those that deserve it.
Wow.
Well said.
Very well said, and I can certainly relate about children and making sure that we're providing opportunities to have that type of exposure to differences and diversity and the inclusion piece. So I'm sure that all of us can agree this has been an excellent discussion, and if time permitted that we could continue to talk about this for hours, but in the interest of trying to keep us on schedule and everybody dismissed, I just want to thank our panels on behalf of TDI and all the attendees here.
Thank you.
And then welcome John, our president, back to the podium.
Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you. Amy, Michael, Pam, thank you. That was amazing. It was quite insightful. I hope each of us learned something from the three of you today. So we really appreciate you being here and sharing your experiences. Absolutely. As we wrap this up, if you haven't turned in your yellow inserts, about the third time we've mentioned that, please do so on your way out. Vanessa and I will be outside, and we'll be happy to meet and discuss any questions or answer any questions that you may have. Once again, I would like to take the opportunity to thank our MC, Representative-elect Wenge Newton, our guest panelists, our volunteers, the various dignitaries and partners who joined us today, and finally the Marriott, who did an amazing job. I think we had a great lunch. So once again, thank you all for being here with us, and have a safe afternoon.